Hey guys, it's Fox from Martial Arts and Philosophy, and today we're going to delve deeper into the specifics of the categorical imperative. For those of you that haven't seen the previous videos, the categorical imperative comes from Immanuel Kant, and it is the idea that we should never treat others merely as means, and that we must treat them always as ends. So the question here today is, what does that really mean? I think we get a general idea of what he's trying to say, but in order for this to be a more kind of effective theory in guiding our moral decision-making processes, I think we need to flesh it out a little further, which Kant does. So, from the categorical imperative, Kant concludes two things. The first is that in order to respect ourselves as ends, we have to practice a sort of self-perfection. The self-perfection for him is going to be developing the skills that we need in order to effectively pursue our goals. And by effectively pursuing our goals, generating happiness in ourselves. Kant, like a lot of philosophers, thinks that happiness is kind of the end game for us. Now, in order to respect others, we have to also help promote their happiness. And in doing this, we have to promote morally legitimate goals that they have. Basically, he just means that, in case your friend wants to go rob a bank, that's not something that you would want to help him with, because that kind of goes against the original principle of respecting others as ends, in this case, the people that own the bank. So we can't support immoral activities, but we do want to support all of their other morally legitimate goals. And we have an obligation to do that if we want to be moral people. So those are the two things. What Kant kind of owes us here and doesn't seem to really give us is an account of what happiness is. So before I delve deeper into Kant's theory, I want to kind of discuss with you what happiness could be. And a philosopher that does this extremely well is actually Aristotle. Aristotle believed that there were four things that were necessary in order for us to be happy, or to live a flourishing life. The first one was wealth, the second one was honor, the third one was virtue, and the fourth one was pleasure. These seem self-explanatory, but the idea here is that we would all think of wealth as an end of some kind, but it's not an end in and of itself. We pursue wealth in order to get things, in order to allow us to live more comfortable lives, to be happy. Next, honor. Honor is kind of a sense of respect that you get from your community. And once again, this isn't an end in and of itself. You get respect from your community and that feels good, but it's really that satisfaction that we get from it, not the honor itself, that seems to be valuable. Interestingly, he thought that virtue and pleasure were intrinsically valuable, unlike honor and wealth. Virtue is intrinsically valuable because the idea is that something like, say, courage is valuable in and of itself. And we will get into further arguments as to why he thought that was a little later. But you can kind of understand the basic conception that that might not be able to be broken down any further. There might be certain people, or all people, that just would like to be courageous for no other reason than courage seems like a good thing to have. So virtue might be intrinsically valuable. However, he argues that it's also beneficial towards our happiness. So basically, say you're a courageous person, that might help you get places in life. For example, maybe you'll make bolder decisions and you'll make greater gains, like perhaps you're boldly jumping into some new business, and that business does well, and you get wealth from that, which in turn increases your happiness. So he argues that we also pursue virtue not just for their own sake, but for the sake of our happiness, which we're all ultimately after. The last thing, pleasure, is something that he doesn't really discuss in great detail, but for him it's clear that pleasure is not happiness itself. That is, happiness is not reducible to pleasure, like utilitarians believe. And actually that is going to be the subject of our next video, because that is a large question that we really have to answer if we want to make further headway into developing a moral theory. So what do you think? Is Kant right to think that respecting persons means perfecting ourselves and promoting the legitimate ends of others? Or is there something else he's missing, or a better way we could go about respecting other people as ends?